Hello leaders, it's National Executive Director Stacy Itzel, and this is part of our hashtag NED takeover. And as I'm looking at my face in the camera, I'm looking at how shiny it is, and we just had an amazing evening of massages and facials. So we are coming to you live and real from Arizona. Just finished up a great day at Chairman's Circle. And we are so thankful to each and every one of you who took time to fill out our survey. And as promised, we are gonna let you hear from some of your nationals. These next few days will be coming live a couple of different times. And tonight, I'm so excited to interview both Claudia Bazar and Kristin Wairinga. So now I get to, yes, it does let me flip it. There they are. Hey guys, how are you feeling after your massage and your facial? You're very glowy. We're all very glowy. All right, so Claudia, we're gonna start with you first.
I feel like this is like the hot seat. Yeah.
You are in the hot seat, and everyone, they have no idea what I'm going to ask them. So this is very, very true of you. Someone said you always look so calm, even when you haven't had a massage and facial. Yes, you always look so calm and laid back. How do you handle all of the stress from the business?
Okay. Well, I think that what stresses us out, right? We have to decide, are we going to let us stress it out, right? Or are we just gonna kind of move on? So I think, although maybe you might not always see that we might be stressed, there's definitely times that we are stressed, but we don't typically show that to our leaders or whatever. What do we always say in this business? Vent up, never vent down, right? But I am pretty calm and collective because I know that there's not many things that stress me out. The only time things stress me out is if I'm not in control and I can't, right? Like if you're not in control. But if I'm like, if there's like no bookings or whatever, I'm not stressed out because I know I can find more. So I think that's probably why.
All right, good answer, good answer. Yeah. Okay. All right, Kristin, we're gonna hop over to you for a second. So we're celebrating your second Chairman's Circle. It feels like it was a long time ago, but so I know so many people followed your journey to NED, so thank you for being so transparent with that journey. I saw a few of the, it's always up and down, right? Yeah. So someone asked, what do you wish you knew as an advanced director as you were aspiring to become a national executive director?
Very good question. So Stacy helped pick these questions. And like Claudia said, we did not know them ahead of time. I would definitely say, and I tell my leaders this all the time, think about where you want your business to be in a year, or in 2 years, or in 5 years. So if you know that you want to be a national executive director, what do you need for that, right? You need 12 first generation directors and so forth, right? So build your business now, how it should look then. Right? So where are you headed, as opposed to building your business for how it will serve your needs now, because you want to build it to include growth. And it's kind of hard to do sometimes when you're like, well, what does that look like? I don't even know. But visualize what could it look like. And then as you start to build your systems and your habits in your business around that, that's going to be so crucial, because then you're not being reactive, you're being proactive. Mm-hmm. So that's something I wish I would have known early on, and I was very much like learning myself as I went, and now as I have the chance to reflect, I wish I would have known that. And so I'm telling all my leaders, and any chance I get to really plug that, it's so important to build for what you want, not what you have currently, or that next step, build it for bigger.
Can I add something to that?
Yeah.
Okay, so speaking of that, like I always like to say, pretend like you're already there, kind of like you say, right? If you want to become a national, we want to become an executive, act like an executive. Pretend like you have 20 directors. Like, what would your work day look like, right? Or you're like, oh, I wish I could be a top seller. I wish I could do 26 parties, right? Plan your calendar like you have 8 virtual parties a week. And even if you have one, like, it doesn't matter. but act like you have them so you know what you're looking forward to, rather than then getting them and being like, oh my God, how do I handle it all now? So just act like you're already there. And there's certain things, like we always say, fake it till you make it, right? Fake it till you make it. It reminds me of the cooking show days when people used to be like, oh, I used to do, all my shows are $1,000. I'm like, I never had a $1,000 show party. And they're like, well, you tell your host, like, all my hosts have $1,000 parties. Most of my hosts, right? So act like you're already there. So just wanted to reinforce that.
I love it. That's good.
So in the words of Tim, so good, so good. Okay, so in that same lane, Claudia, if you could give leaders aspiring to that next level of the career plan, or really any goal, one tip to help them reach whatever goal they're working towards, what would that be?
It's probably hard to just do one, but I would say tunnel vision, right? Be so focused on your goal. And I think that's, like, I feel very strong about that. Like, and it's not just paper chef. Like, if I say I want to run a marathon, I probably would die right now if I tried to run a marathon. But I feel like if I worked hard enough, I feel very confident I can get it. So be so confident in where you want to go that maybe you don't know how to get there yet, but that you will get there no matter what life throws at you, no matter what obstacles come in your way, that you have the determination to wake up every single day to work on your dreams and your goals. Like, if I want to learn how to, I don't know, like, be a dancer. Like, I feel like anybody can be anything if you believe it and you're willing to work hard, right? Or like, I want to lose 100 pounds. Like, if I really want to, I know I can do it. But there's going to be obstacles, and I try to teach my team to have like an alarm word, right? Where you're like, oh, we all leave conference and all these things and training calls, and we're like, I'm going to take over the world and I'm going to do all the things. But the moment something goes wrong, the moment I can't get any bookings, or the person that thought was going to join didn't join, or the person that I thought was going to promote didn't promote, we stop and we freeze, rather than saying, you know what, it is what it is, move on, next. And you just stay focused on the path where you want to go, no matter what life throws at you. It doesn't matter the training, it doesn't matter how you're going to get there. You just need to know that you're going to get there and why it's important to you.
Yeah, that makes me think of something Judy Joel always said: anything is possible with belief, focus, and determination. But you really need all three of those. Like you were saying, that tunnel vision, you need the focus. And you can be focused and you can believe, but if you don't do the things, if you don't overcome those obstacles, it's not going to happen. That's the determination.
Yeah, I think expecting that things are going to go wrong.
Yes,
too, right?
yeah.
We have this like, oh, we're going to run this mile and everything's going to be perfect. I'm going to be happy and cheery as I run along, right? But I want you to imagine that like tornadoes are going to hit along the way, half your knee's going to fall off, you're going to be dehydrated. Like, expect those things so when they come, you're just like, oh yeah, just got to go overcome it. Oh, my kids are sick. I figure it out. Or whatever happens in life, you have to be so ready to like just keep doing what you need to do to get to where you want to go.
Yeah, good stuff, good stuff. All right, so it's so awesome the way you are saying things to set up the next question. I just love this because you had no idea what I was going to ask. So a lot of everything that we want to accomplish in this business is done through recruiting. Another Judy Joel saying, recruiting fixes everything.
Are you proud?
So when you're struggling with recruiting, what do you do, Kristin?
That's a good question. So I find for me that if I'm struggling recruiting, it's usually because there's a breakdown somewhere in the process in my recruiting. So the first step that I take is I identify, where am I lacking? Where is the breakdown happening? So there's a hole in the pipe somewhere, I have to find it and fix it. Usually, for me at least, so you have to identify this for you, usually I am not focused and intentional on every single ask and following through. So, and it's not because I don't want to, it's because we get busy and we get distracted, and we're like, oh, we need more bookings because I just had 2 cancellations, or oh, my team needs pumped up right now, or whatever it is, right? So I think we really have to be focused and intentional. And when you look at the breakdown and see, where is this falling apart for me, strengthen that area. And I always tell our team, if you want to become really good at something, become a student of that subject. So if you want to get really good at recruiting, and even if you're in a slump, maybe you've had an amazing time recruiting in the past and you feel like you're in a slump, it doesn't matter, like it's still the same. Become a student of the subject and become a sponge and learn everything you can. Go find every training you can watch on recruiting. YouTube is like hours of training available at your fingertips. So and find too what drives you around recruiting, as far as like what parts of recruiting do you get passionate about. And I think when we can look at our consultants and remember our consultants' stories and remember the impact the business can have, and also how it's been a blessing for us, and a gratitude journal is so good for that. And just remembering it comes back to that core and helping people and blessing people. And when you can revisit some of those stories and you revisit your why, it also makes it a lot easier to be focused and intentional in having success with recruiting.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you said become a student of the business, go to YouTube, learn other things. Those are all things that take time. Like if you think about somebody going back to school, they need to find the time to carve out to be able to do that. And, you know, so they might be thinking, oh my gosh, how do I add one more thing to my plate? So Claudia, who's that? Claudia, I'm going to come on over to you because you are so great at work-life balance. Like I know, we all know, those of us who are her friend know she's got a hard cutoff to things. So how do you really keep that life-business balance so that you can grow, you can learn new things, but still be the mom, the wife, the exerciser, workout, weightlifter girl that you want to be?
Yeah. So I feel like that's like one of my favorite subjects because I do feel very balanced, but I will say balance is a myth, okay?
Yes.
Like you will never be perfectly balanced. And for those of you guys that don't know it, we are rereading Rory Vaden's book, Procrastinate on Purpose, so that's a great one. And he talks about that if life was perfectly balanced, we would sleep 8 hours, work 8 hours,
Yes.
and spend 8 hours with our family, but that doesn't really work, right? So life is never perfectly balanced, but you have to look at what is important to you, put all those things on your calendar, and then tweak it until it fits. And eventually you have such a schedule that you're like, okay, no big deal. I know I'm working tomorrow at 9, or I'm doing, this tomorrow at 10. So you don't have that urgency that you have to finish everything right then and there. Because let's be real, our business is endless, okay? Do I have probably 30 messages right now sitting in my inbox? I'm sure I do, right? Do I have hundreds of notifications? Yes. But the other important thing is that it's not time management, right? Rory Vaden talks about it in this book. It's self-management. Are you making yourself a priority? Are you making what is important to your priority, or are you finding an excuse for it, right? Because at the end of the day, we all have the same time. So is it important enough for you to figure it out or not?
Yeah. So Kristin, while we are all working to figure out that self-management, we're going to make a lot of mistakes. Like we might not always make the right choices on how we spend our time. And that can have an effect on our family. And for so many consultants, it puts a strain on that husband-wife, partner relationship, all of those things. And you shared very openly and candidly during National Conference that your husband wasn't always supportive of your business. So what do you think really changed in what you were doing or between the two of you, or what triggered that change for him to now be that supportive spouse?
Yeah, I think honestly is time and a commitment to your relationship. So I always say when someone is struggling with their spouse, or their spouse being supportive of their business, and I just had this conversation with a team member yesterday, I think, and I'm going to circle to the question here, so bear with me. I think the most important thing is looking at your spouse's needs. And usually if they're not happy with your business, or they're unsupportive of your business, their needs are not being fulfilled. And a really easy way I can explain this is if you know the 5 love languages. If you don't, go check out the book. It's really good. Usually what happens is they're not feeling fulfilled in their love language. And so for some men, their love language is time or acts of service. And this business can definitely directly impact time and acts of service from a love language standpoint, because your business takes away time from them. And if they appreciate having a clean house, or if they appreciate a warm dinner, or if they appreciate the kids bathed when they come home and ready for bed or whatever, and you are busy doing your business, then you're not doing some of those acts of service that make them feel loved. So look at the 5 love languages and figure out what your spouse's is, and just help ensure that their needs are met and that those are not being sacrificed because you're working your business instead. So that would be a tip, but I would say a lot of communication and a lot of trying to come to a compromise. And when you can do that and you come to a compromise, you have to respect the boundaries that you guys have set together in that compromise. Because if you don't respect those boundaries, then you're back at square one and you have a lot of other things to mend, right? So when you do that and you respect them in a way that you're adhering to the boundaries that you've set, and you're also respecting them and helping them feel fulfilled in their needs and their love language, and you do that and time passes and they continue to see you feeling joy from your business and passion from your business, and also when you start to make additional income, it makes it easier and easier for them to support your business. And a lot of people told me along the way, they're like, oh, just get them on a trip, and like, it'll all change. It didn't.
I remember that first trip with him. Yeah.
I know. And I'm like, that was a lie. You told me that. I mean, maybe for them it did. Not for me. She was a little bit more harder to overcome in that area, but that's what I would suggest. And it is very hard when you feel like you are fighting for your business with your spouse and they don't understand and they don't get it, and it can be very tiring and exhausting. And just stick the course. Just stick it out and do what I already said, because that will help. And eventually, if you do those things, at least in our experience, like, he is incredibly supportive now, very supportive, but I am making sure that his needs are fulfilled as well. So and I just have to say, before we wrap up, there were over 150
No, 180.
182 submissions, and I'm like, I want to answer every question, and they're like, no, that would take like an hour.
But we're trying to sum them up. A lot of them are very similar.
Yeah, so if you asked a question and we didn't answer, it's not because we don't love you. We wanted to answer every question, but it would literally take a really long time. So
Yeah. And I just want to say, for those of us who have been blessed and fortunate enough to have a supportive spouse along the way or partner, go give them some extra love tonight, because they have made our businesses so much easier by supporting from the beginning. Give it up, directors and above, for our amazing national executive directors, Claudia, just in case you forgot her name, and Kristin. And make sure you keep following us all week long. And all of the nationals are going to be popping on here. So we are spread out all around the country for our Chairman Circle and Executive Seminar. You don't want to miss any of the fun or the tips or any of those things. Look for hashtag NED Takeover. Bye, y'all.